Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sport with me, Jamie Davis. And wow, we've got a big one tonight, folks. Thank you for joining me on the show. We're going to talk about Formula One tonight because, on the day of transfer deadline day, for football, women's football, men's football, you name it, you're expecting lots of money being spent, urgent signings being made, panic buys, you name it. It's been rather dull, actually. And even before today even arrived, I expected it to be a very dull day. But Formula One just thought, I'll tell you what, let's have some fun. Let's get involved in transfer deadline day for a change and throw this big one. Yep, I don't know if you've seen, where have you been in the last 6-7 hours? Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion, probably the greatest driver in Formula One history, is apparently set to join Ferrari in 2025. It's just come out of nowhere. After 12, at the moment 11 years, but by the time he's done at Mercedes next year, if this is to be the case, after 12 fantastic years, you could say, Hamilton is going to leave the team that he was the most successful at, where he won 6 of the 7 world championships he is able to collect since he came into Formula One in 2007. Wow, first of all, what are my reactions to it? Hang on. Let me just make sure that this keeps happening with my camera Let me just try that again. Look. There we go. It's in sync. There we go. Sometimes I always think the mic and if I put the camera to a certain pixels or whatever you call it, it doesn't really sync my voice to the mic. Well, whatever. Anyway, I'll shut up. What are my reactions to this straight away? I don't want to sound like I expected this to come. I was not expecting this, especially not today. I feel like this has been coming, but still, the news has come out of nowhere. So there was no hints of him going to Ferrari, not in the last few months or anything. I think we just all expected Hamilton to do another year at least in F1 with Mercedes. His current deal at the moment is this year and next year anyway. So he did sign an extension, which was a 2-year deal with Mercedes. So it was supposed to, of course, start for this season and then have one more season in 2025 with the Silver Arrows. But it looks as though he's only going to do half of that contract by doing just this year and then head to Italy at the beginning of next year. So I'll be honest with you. I've said this to some of my friends today. I'm surprised by the timing. It has come out of nowhere. But I have said this over the years where I feel as though Lewis Hamilton would love to maybe end his career at Ferrari or to just at least drive for Ferrari. I believe it's his childhood dream. I think he's always been a Ferrari fan, even though he came up as a McLaren driver. He went through the youth setup of that when he was a kid. Ron Dennis picked him up, and he was a massive impact from his first ever race in F1 in 2007. He nearly won it in his first attempt as a young boy. I mean, that feels like a long time ago, but he was so close to winning it in his first ever F1 championship. But luckily for him, he was able to get over the misery of the end of that season where he came so close, and it was very heartbreaking to see someone come so close in his first season. But the following year, in 2008, he beat Felipe Massa, a Ferrari driver at the time, to the World Championship in the most dramatic fashion. And yeah, Hamilton has been with us ever since and has been one of the best drivers ever. And I've just always felt that in the last few years, when hearing that Hamilton, his dream as a kid to drive for Ferrari, it just felt like if anything went wrong with him at Mercedes, or if he wanted a new challenge and stay in the sport, or at least stay in F1, I always thought maybe, just maybe, we could see Hamilton in a Ferrari car. Now, when you look at Ferrari, what a miserable few years they've had, by the way. And also, I've actually got the T-shirt right here. Yeah, there we go. There he is. He's joining. I should have completely forgot to plug that T-shirt in when I said he's going to join that team, the Prancing Horse. But yeah, oh well, didn't follow the script. But anyway, with Ferrari though, what a miserable 16, 17 years it's been if you're talking not winning the World Championship. So 2007, Kimi Raikkonen beat Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari to win the World Championship. And that was the last time Ferrari won a world championship. It's been a long time. And for Ferrari, that is not good. To me, Ferrari is like the Real Madrid of F1. The biggest name, the biggest team. They've had the best drivers represent them over the years. Niki Lauda, Michael Schumacher, Fernando Alonso, Kimi Raikkonen, Sebastian Vettel. The list goes on. And now it looks as though Lewis Hamilton will join that list. So I've always looked at them as the team that can always get the best drivers, despite the form that they're in. Now, over the last few years, it's been interesting, hasn't it? Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Charles Leclerc had was it 2 years? Was it 2 seasons? I can't remember at Sauber, who are now Alfa Romeo, but now I can't even remember the names. I forget the names. Anyway, it should still be Sauber. It should always be Sauber. But, Charles Leclerc, when do we ever see Ferrari pick up a driver from a lower team? And when I say lower team, I mean a driver that's not got much experience under their belt. Not that often. And a lot of the time, Ferrari's recruitment has always been a driver that's done it elsewhere already. Fernando Alonso, when he did it at Renault, winning 2 world championships. Vettel winning 4 world championships in a row with Red Bull. And then they picked him up. And now they're picking up a driver, just like they did with Kimi Raikkonen, you could say. Multiple race winner, but this time they're getting a multiple world champion. And they're looking at Hamilton and probably just thinking, maybe, just maybe, getting a talent like Lewis Hamilton in can get us back to the top. It's going to be interesting if that is to be the bid, because Lewis Hamilton hasn't won a race since 2021, which I find really hard to believe. I remember it was near the end of last season, and someone said it on one of the F1 broadcasts to just say, Hamilton is in the shadows of race wins at the moment. He probably can't remember what it's like to win one. Or, you see him on the podium, but you don't see him on the top of the podium. So you could say the arrival of Max Verstappen at his best has really got to Lewis Hamilton. And ever since that heartbreaking moment for Lewis Hamilton in 2021 in Abu Dhabi, which we did as a live watch along on this channel, if you might remember, it was me, Connor, and Jack that did that, and we couldn't believe what we witnessed. FIA had a pretty bad day, especially Michael Massey. But you just feel as though ever since that race, Hamilton hasn't really repaired himself or got over it. And Verstappen has taken over in F1. He is right now the best driver in the world. And he's got world championships and look at 2023, the season that's just gone. He won every race apart from 3 of them, I think it was. And Red Bull won every race apart from one of them, which I think was won by Carlos Sainz. So, yeah, it's just one of them. But anyway, there's so many questions about this because, as I say, I thought one day Hamilton would go to Ferrari. I just feel like it was going to come. I didn't expect it today. I didn't expect it for next year. I didn't know when to expect it. At one point, I thought it'll probably be Mercedes through and through. He'll be there till he retires and probably thinks it's time to hang his helmet up. But no, here we are. I mean, again, what's made him go for this move as well? I'm looking at it as 2 options. Number one, as I mentioned, the childhood dream of being in a Ferrari race suit to maybe satisfy him when he retires to go, well, I on paper, I'm one of the best drivers that's ever been in F1, matched and broke records by Schumacher, and I've been able to race for the biggest team in F1, along with McLaren and Mercedes. But the other option is, do you remember 2013? No, 2012, actually. And I think it was a year where Hamilton won a few races in a McLaren. Didn't really fight for the world championship. His teammate at the time was Jenson Button. And I remember the rumours coming out, which I think Eddie Jordan started when he was on BBC Sport as a pundit. He was literally pretty much saying Hamilton's going to Mercedes. After his long relationship with McLaren, he is going to Mercedes. And I remember at the time, and I'm sure everyone else was thinking, why is he going to a team that aren't proven winners? He's at McLaren, that are a massive team and have got the resources and the money. So obviously when that announcement came out, I was shocked. I think everyone was. And you just thought, what's Lewis Hamilton doing? Because it had been 4 years since he won a world championship. And obviously you'd think, oh God, the gap's going to get even bigger now if he's going to Mercedes. 2013 he started in the Silver Arrow car. And I remember he won the Hungarian Grand Prix that year, which was just before the midway point, before the summer break. He won that race very nicely against a very dominant Sebastian Vettel that year. So it gave you a hint to go, okay, Mercedes can win a race. You know, maybe they're building something now. Maybe there's something that Lewis Hamilton knew about this project that we didn't know. Because of course we're not in those meetings, are we, us fans? We don't know what they talk about. So what I'm trying to say is maybe Hamilton has talked to Ferrari over the winter break or something like that, and maybe there's a project there he likes. Maybe he thinks that maybe come the new regulation changes, whenever that is, Ferrari will be ahead. I don't know, but like I say, Hamilton went to Mercedes. We all were shocked by it, and ended up being probably the best transfer in F1 history when you look at how many world championships he'd gone to win with Mercedes, which I've mentioned before on this show. It was 6 world championships. That's pretty good. Because even Michael Schumacher, when he moved to Ferrari, it took him a few years, let's not forget, to get that first world championship in a Ferrari car. That was in 2000. And then he'd go and win it 5 years in a row, which, yeah, mad, absolutely mad. But then Hamilton comes along and he's done similar things as to what Schumacher's done. So there's 2 ways I see it. And that's how, those are the options. All I could say is, for any of you fans that have just tuned in and you didn't know about this, I don't know what's going to happen about when the announcement is coming. It hasn't actually been announced while we speak. It might be announced right now as we speak, but there's rumors that apparently Mercedes, I think it might be Mercedes, that will announce something at 7 p.m. And it's 6:30 now, so within half an hour we should hear something. So maybe it could be tonight that this rumor that has been reported by Autosport, BBC Sport, Sky Sport, all the big sources, they're all picking up this story. So it's clearly going to happen. It's just a matter of when is the announcement. So yeah, if we just quickly go on just in case you haven't seen. So this is the story. Look, written by Andrew Benson, chief F1 writer of BBC Sport. He's saying, Lewis Hamilton will make a shock move from Mercedes to Ferrari. And that will be, as you see in the bold writing there, 2025 season. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. So I'm just checking that my stream is running. Yep, it is running. A number of sources say a deal for 7-time world champion Hamilton to join Charles Leclerc at Maranello from 2025 has been agreed. Ferrari and Mercedes have refused to comment. So you kind of wonder, how's this story come out then? But apparently Mercedes F1 staff were told in a meeting with team principal Toto Wolff and technical director James Allison on Thursday afternoon. The move could be announced officially as early as Thursday evening. So again, 7 p.m. is probably going to be that. But yeah, as I mentioned, Hamilton signed a 2-year deal with Mercedes last summer. His contract is understood to have contained a break clause after 1 year, which Hamilton has chosen to exercise. So that makes sense. That all makes sense. I first heard the story this morning from Autosport, which Jonathan Noble has reported here, saying that he's going to make the shock switch. But there's also an article here from Toto Motorsport. Again, I'm only referencing what others are saying. They reckon that Hamilton actually could drive for Ferrari this season, not next year, which is scary to think. We'll have to just see if that does happen, but I'm not sure how they can do that. I'm just trying to remember. I did read a bit of this before. But yeah, Mercedes, they've had a meeting earlier today. They've not really made any comments about it. So anyway, that's what they're all saying. So yeah, that is the story right now. What do you lot think? Let us know in the comments. I think we've got someone getting in touch. Jamie Bajoin says, nice gaff, you maniac. Thanks very much. Yes, it's all red behind me. I've painted the rules red just for Ferrari today. I might paint it again. I don't know. I'm a Man United fan. It suits my colour, this red. So yes, let us know. Do get in touch in the comments, and yeah, we'd love to hear from what you lot think. So straight away, who is going to be Hamilton's teammate if he goes to Ferrari? So the media reckon it is going to be Charles Leclerc. He is the Ferrari project, you could say. But then you look at Leclerc and think, what are you going to be number 2 driver? Because Hamilton is a bigger name, a much more talented driver, more race wins and world championships. I don't need to go on, but how does Charles Leclerc feel for that? Because I think when he was with Carlos Sainz, you knew that they were both level. If that makes sense, you felt as though Leclerc probably had a bit more of a backing, but Carlos Sainz wasn't far behind. But that's what they reckon. They reckon Carlos Sainz would go elsewhere. So yeah, Sainz, if he is going to have to go, and if this is from next year, then obviously him and his agent are going to have to start talking to some teams. Could it be a switch? Could Carlos Sainz go to Mercedes to join George Russell? One thing I think George Russell will be very excited about this news. I'm sure he's loved working with Hamilton. I'm sure he's learnt a lot, but I bet he's quite excited to knowing that maybe he'll be properly number one now. He can be the man that tries to get Mercedes a world championship back. So again, of course, when drivers leave a team and then move to another, it creates all sorts of new transfers in the sport. So it's very exciting to see what could happen. But Leclerc and Hamilton, what a partnership. Very exciting. But again, we all know what happens. Teammates can become enemies. So I wouldn't get carried away to think that they're going to get on. Leclerc did say in a press conference once last year, I think, and Lewis Hamilton was sitting near him on the sofa as well. You know, he did say, I don't think anyone could argue with having Lewis Hamilton as a teammate just because of his experience, and you'd probably learn a thing or two. I mean, fair comment. I wouldn't disagree. But like I say, the early days are probably like a honeymoon period, but then when it comes to the real racing, yeah, you've got to forget that he's your teammate, because F1's not. I know they call them teammates, but F1's, I mean, look at Perez and Verstappen, look at Vettel and Webber, look at, I guess you could say maybe back then when it was Schumi and Rubens Barrichello, even Rubens Barrichello and Button. I think Rubens Barrichello was gutted that he didn't get more of a chance of winning the World Championship in 2009 with Brawn, but it's always sad. Not personal, it's business, isn't it? I mean, that's just the way it is. I think even like Raikkonen and Alonso, I think they were teammates for at least one season. That didn't really go down well, from what I can remember. I don't know, it's been a while. But yeah, so who goes to Mercedes? Could it be Carlos Sainz? Could it be Fernando Alonso? Alonso I feel like Alonso's going to be driving till he's 50. That's how good he is. But it's some story. We'd love to know what you think. Who do you think's going to go where? We'd love to hear it. I've just noticed that my laptop needs charging. That's not a good sign. So I might actually have to maybe reduce this show unless I just check the battery life. That is not great. It's a bit annoying because I'm still setting up. I got apparently 16 minutes remaining, so I haven't got long. So I'm going to try and wrap up as much as I can now, lads and ladies. So, yes. Let's just quickly check our poll. And we've asked you, can Hamilton win a world championship at Ferrari? 75% of you going for yes, he can. 25% going for not happening. Do carry on voting. I'll leave it on there for a few more minutes. So I'll try and wrap this up as much as I can. So I think Hamilton's going. I think for any of you Mercedes fans that want him to stay there, I'd probably start getting used to the news or make the most out of this year, because it looks like he's going. So, yeah, George Russell, who with? Carlos Sainz, Alonso maybe? I mean, there's plenty of other drivers that could maybe go for it. I mean, Daniel Ricciardo, people know me. Love the guy, just don't think he's a good enough driver. You know, could Perez go there maybe? Is that a crazy thought? Because he's been a bit unsure with his relationship with Max Verstappen and Red Bull. It looks as though he's going to be here for another year at Red Bull, but could this be his last? Could he look at the Mercedes job as being a good backup driver for Russell, as he's proven to be for Verstappen? Regardless of what people say, Perez did finish second last season. So he did his bit, even though he wasn't always at his best. So anyway, we could waffle on. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Big news to come. I'd keep an eye on your phones over the next 20 minutes or 30 minutes, because it looks like an announcement could come from at least Mercedes tonight to maybe confirm that Hamilton is to leave the Silver Arrows for next year. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. I've been Jamie Davis, and be sure to join us for our next stream. I'm not sure when that'll be, just whenever I can. Slowly getting used to this office setup, guys, so it's getting there. Really, really thankful for you that watched our Conte video going to AC Milan the other night. We'll, of course, try and do more of this in the future. But remember to subscribe and give this stream a like. Thanks very much, and I'll see you soon.